Let me begin by, of course, thanking Makers Asylum for these sessions that allow for young people to understand a little bit more what they would be getting into. And the question that you asked, Rosita and myself in your slide, Richa, was like, why should they join this? And I mean, after everything that you've explained and everything we've been discussing, I think the real question is, why shouldn't they join this? It's a bit difficult to respond also to the question on why UNESCO is supporting this, when after everything we've been seeing, it's kind of a natural answer. As the UN Specialized Agency for Education, Science, Culture, we have, as part of our mandate, supporting youth-led action. And just like Rosita was saying, also UNESCO cooperates as part of the UN family to support youth-led action that is not necessarily seeing youth as beneficiaries, but particularly believing in young people as partners that can bring about change and contribute to finding solutions to the issues faced by their community. So that is basically why supporting the SDG schools and working with Makers Asylum in general is perfectly aligned with our mandate and what our member states have asked us to do. So in that sense, and supporting even more why this is a program that is supported by the UN, it's because, of course, it has a focus on the Sustainable Development Goals. Some of you may know about them. Richa already, of course, gave a little bit of general introduction and context. But through the SDG school, you will also be learning a little bit more about it, and you will be invited to connect a bit more with this agenda. In a nutshell, this is the biggest agenda in the history of humankind to achieve peace and sustainable development by 2030. And this is something that was the agreement of all members of the United Nations. All governments came together to agree on a path through 17 goals and 169 targets for achieving peace and sustainable development as the only way forward, because otherwise, if we don't achieve these objectives, our planet will not have sufficient resources for moving forward for generations to come. That is the main principle of sustainability, that we need to consume and to use the resources today, bearing in mind that we still need resources tomorrow. So this is the Agenda 2030, with also a very important principle of leaving no one behind, that Rosita was speaking about. Its indivisibility, that all SDGs contribute to the other, but also something that we believe is extremely important is the principle of leaving no one behind. Contributing to the 2030 agenda is also contributing to addressing the needs of those that are in a vulnerable situation or facing exceptional challenges because of their condition, their geography, their history, etc. So in this sense, you have seen also this impressive work that Makers Asylum has been doing to respond to the pandemic, for example, that is also in line with the spirit of the 2030 agenda and working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. What the pandemic has caused in a lot of countries is impressive. This is probably the largest disruption in the history of humankind to many sectors in terms of its size and its global impact. And by the way, I wanted to start by that, but I take the opportunity to say, for those connecting from parts of the world that are still struggling through the pandemic, I send you my best wishes, and I really hope that you and your loved ones are staying safe. Definitely, the examples of these large-scale actions that Richa presented, that Maker Asylums and their partners and network across India have implemented to support the key issues of lack of availability of face shields and then lack of availability of oxygen in the country through the first and second wave is really commendable. And we have seen another big example of how youth action can really bring about change at the community level. And that brings me back to the SDGs. The SDGs, even if this was an important agreement by governments and let's say, facilitated by the United Nations. This agenda is something that cannot be accomplished by governments only. Of course, they need to put together the institutional framework, the policies necessary for this. The UN will continue to provide its technical support to governments in this regard. And of course, we are there to advocate for the agenda and to help governments also to monitor its implementation and assess the needs to move it forward, etc. But something very important is that this also needs to be in the hands of societies, in the hands of communities, and particularly if we believe that the most powerful action that can happen at the community level is that led by young people, then if the 2030 agenda is really owned and it's put in the hands of young people to provide solutions to this type of problems and challenges that are faced in the local level, I think that this is the only one of the major drivers that can guarantee achieving the 2030 agenda. So in a nutshell, this is why UNESCO supports this. This is why UNESCO believes in youth-led action for the SDGs, and this is why UNESCO cherishes and really values this partnership with Makers Asylum that provides this type of platforms to all of you to ensure that you have the right tools, the right forums, and the right network to unleash your potential, basically, because this is what this is all about. You would learn a lot on how to bring about change in your communities and how to contribute to this very, very important agenda that is at the core of our progress and our survival as humanity. The pandemic has only exacerbated challenges that were there. And in that sense, our concrete contributions to this program is, as Richa was saying, in working together with this lens of assessing the needs and trying to get a thermometer of what's out there for the development of the problem statement. We also support with the outreach of trying to expand the reach of how many people will learn about this to ensure that we are having people engage from many countries and different areas of societies too. And you have seen also that our director for South Asia is part of the executive steering committee of the project, and this guarantees that we are working together to provide any support we can from UNESCO's perspective in terms of guidance, direction, technical assistance, and of course to listen to the evolution and needs of the project as it moves forward. So as you all have seen through Rosita and my presentation, this is a very strong program that has the support of the UN because of all of these reasons. And we are here to ensure that your potential is unleashed, and Richa, Vaibhav, and the Makers Asylum are committed to making this count and to providing access to you to all of these resources. The alumni network can only continue to grow and also provide opportunities to develop this action in your communities and beyond. So I will stop there and thank you very much for your attention and invite you to seriously consider joining this program, speaking about it, sharing it with everyone who would be interested in making a strong contribution to your communities, to your societies, and to bringing about change and building peace and sustainable development for you, for today, and for generations to come.